Did you seriously just trade me to your brother for 3 months of housework? I stood inside our apartment with a grocery bag hanging from one hand, staring at Jake Bennett like he had finally discovered a completely new category of bad idea. Jake, my straight roommate of almost 2 years, remained seated on the couch with the expression of a man who genuinely believed he could explain himself. His older brother, Cole, stood near the kitchen counter holding a coffee mug and looking considerably less pleased with the situation. Trade is a strong word, Jake said. It is literally the word you used. I was simplifying. You made me sound like a used refrigerator. Cole lowered his mug, apparently hiding a smile. I pointed at him. You are not allowed to find this funny. I am trying very hard not to. That was not helping. Behind me, another drop of water landed in one of the plastic buckets beneath our damaged kitchen ceiling. The leak from the apartment upstairs had turned our place into a construction project, and the contractor had warned us that repairs might take weeks. That morning, our landlord had called with worse news. They had found additional water damage behind the kitchen wall, which meant parts of the apartment might be unusable much longer than expected. I needed somewhere temporary to live. Apparently, Jake had decided this qualified as an opportunity for creative negotiation. Explain, I said. Jake sat forward. Cole has a guest room. You need a place. You stay with him while this gets fixed, and I owe him 3 months of housework afterward. I blinked. So, I am the reason you become his unpaid cleaning service? Technically, yes. And somehow you thought presenting this as trading me would improve the proposal? It sounded funnier before you walked in. Cole finally intervened. Ethan, I did not agree to any trade. But you agreed to him staying with you, Jake said. Cole gave his brother a look. If Ethan wants to. Then he turned toward me. You would have the guest room. No rent. No cooking for me. No cleaning for me. No obligation connected to whatever ridiculous arrangement Jake thinks he made. I folded my arms. What is the catch? Do not burn down my house. That is it. I would also appreciate basic respect for the furniture. Demanding. I have standards. I almost smiled, which annoyed me because I was still supposed to be offended. Cole lived about 12 minutes from my office. From our apartment, my morning commute could take 45 minutes. His house had working plumbing, a functional ceiling, and presumably fewer buckets collecting mystery water. How long? I asked. As long as you need, Cole said. Jake immediately added, maximum 3 months. Cole sighed. Ignore him. I looked between them. Jake seemed delighted with himself. Cole looked calm, but there was something unusually careful about the way he was watching me, as though my answer mattered more than the practical problem we were discussing. I will think about it, I said. That is all I am asking, Cole replied. He picked up his keys and headed toward the door. Before leaving, he stopped beside me. Whatever you decide, Ethan, it is your decision. Then he walked out. 5 minutes later, another drop hit the bucket, and a contractor texted Jake that the kitchen wall would need to be opened again Monday. I stared at my phone, surrendered what remained of my pride, and messaged Cole. When can I move in? His response arrived almost immediately. Tomorrow is fine. The room is already ready. I read those final words twice. Then a third time. I had not even agreed until 30 seconds ago, so there was only one question suddenly occupying my mind. Why had Cole Bennett already prepared a room for me? The next afternoon, I arrived at Cole's house with 2 suitcases, 1 cardboard box, my yellow umbrella, and enough suspicion to qualify as emotional luggage. Cole opened the front door before I finished knocking. He wore a dark blue shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, and he looked so completely unsurprised to see me that my question from the night before immediately returned. You really were expecting me, I said. You told me you were coming. Yesterday, after you said the room was already ready. Cole took the heavier suitcase from me. Are you planning to interrogate me on the porch? I have. Not ruled it out. Come inside first. His house was quiet, warm, and irritatingly organized. The wood floors were spotless, framed photographs lined one wall, and several actual living plants sat near the windows. Jake had once killed a cactus, so this already felt like visiting a different branch of the family. Cole carried my suitcase upstairs and opened the guest room. I stopped in the doorway. The bed had clean sheets, the dresser was empty, fresh towels rested on a chair, and the closet had enough open space for everything I had brought. A new phone charger sat beside the bed. Cole. What? This is not a room you cleaned yesterday. No, so when did you prepare it? He hesitated just long enough for me to notice. Jake told me earlier this week that the repairs might get worse. I thought you could need somewhere to stay. That explanation was reasonable. Almost too reasonable. I picked up the charger. And this? Jake said yours barely works. My roommate is apparently running an intelligence agency. Your roommate talks constantly. Downstairs, Cole showed me where everything was. Laundry room near the garage. Extra towels in the hallway cabinet. Thermostat by the stairs. Coffee beside the refrigerator. Rules? I asked. Do not burn down the house. You need new material. Lock the door if you come home late. Tell me if someone is staying overnight. Otherwise, make yourself comfortable. And the housework? Jake owes me that. You do not. He opened the refrigerator. I bought groceries. Use whatever you want. I reached for a bottle of water, then froze. Sitting on the middle shelf was the exact hazelnut coffee creamer I bought every week. I slowly turned toward him. Why do you have this? Cole followed my gaze. Because you like it. How do you know I like it? I have seen it at your apartment. You have visited maybe 6 times. Apparently, I have excellent observational skills. Apparently. Cole closed the refrigerator, but I kept staring at him. What kind of coffee does Jake drink? Whatever is available. What cereal does he buy? I have no idea. But you know my coffee creamer. Cole leaned against the counter. For the first time since I arrived, he looked almost uncomfortable. Is remembering something about you a problem? The question caught me off guard. No. It is just unexpected. His expression softened. Then maybe stop looking for a catch. Before I could answer, he picked up his keys. I have to run to the hardware store. Make yourself at home. The door closed behind him. I stood alone in his kitchen, staring at the hazelnut creamer. The prepared room could be explained. The charger could be blamed on Jake. Even the groceries made sense. But Cole had remembered one insignificant detail from a handful of visits over the past year. Something Jake probably could not have told anyone if his life depended on it. I poured myself coffee and added the creamer. It was exactly the way I liked it. Suddenly, living with Cole did not feel awkward because he was a stranger. It felt awkward because I was beginning to wonder whether, somehow, I had never been one to him. By the end of my second week at Cole's house, the strangest thing about living with him was how quickly it stopped feeling strange. Our mornings developed a routine without either of us discussing it. Cole usually reached the kitchen before the coffee maker started at 6:30, and by the time I came downstairs, my favorite mug would be waiting beside the hazelnut creamer. You know I can prepare my own coffee, I told him one Tuesday morning. Cole looked up from his phone. I know. Then why is my mug always here? Because I am already standing here. That is suspiciously reasonable. Would you prefer an unreasonable explanation? Absolutely. He considered it. The mug gets lonely. I stared at him. That was terrible. You asked. Saturdays became grocery days. Cole shopped with a list organized by section, which I considered a personality flaw. Produce first, dairy second, frozen food last. I preferred wandering through the aisles until something interesting appeared. We do not need 3 packages of cookies, Cole said when I dropped them into the cart. Need is a restrictive concept. You finished an entire package during the movie Thursday. I was emotionally invested. He removed 2 packages. I waited until he turned toward the cereal aisle and quietly returned one. At checkout, Cole discovered it beneath a loaf of bread. He looked at me, looked at the cookies, then placed them on the conveyor belt without saying anything. I counted that as a victory. My belongings slowly spread through his house. My yellow umbrella appeared beside his black one near the door. My cereal took over half a kitchen shelf. My sneakers stayed beside his shoes instead of upstairs in my room. One cold evening, I pulled a navy hoodie from the dryer without checking the size. I realized my mistake when I walked into the living room, and Cole looked up from his book. That is mine. I glanced at the sleeves hanging past my wrists. That explains why I look like I borrowed clothes from a much larger person. You can keep it on. I was about to give it back. You look cold. I paused, then sat at the opposite end of the couch. Temporary theft, then. I will notify the authorities tomorrow. We watched an old comedy, and somewhere near the ending, I fell asleep. When I woke the next morning, sunlight was coming through the windows and a blanket covered me. Cole stood in the kitchen dressed for work, pouring coffee. You left me on the couch all night? I asked. You were sleeping. That is generally what happens when people fall asleep. You looked comfortable. I touched the blanket. Did you put this on me? Cole glanced over. The blanket deserves most of the credit. I laughed. He brought my coffee over and placed it on the table. Hazelnut creamer? Obviously. He picked up his keys. Have a good day, Ethan. You too. The door closed behind him. I sat there wearing his hoodie, drinking coffee exactly the way I liked it, surrounded by small pieces of my life that had somehow settled naturally into his. Then my phone buzzed with another repair update from Jake. I read only the first sentence before setting it face down. 2 weeks earlier, every delay had frustrated me. Now I realized I had stopped checking how many days remained before I could move back. Somewhere between the grocery lists, terrible jokes, shared movies, and morning coffee, I had stopped measuring my life by the repair schedule. Without noticing when it happened, I had started measuring it by the sound of Cole's key turning in the front door every evening. The first person who called Cole my boyfriend was the cashier at our neighborhood grocery store, and I nearly dropped a jar of pasta sauce. Your boyfriend already grabbed the coffee, she said casually, pointing toward Cole at the other end of the checkout lane. He is not my boyfriend, I answered so quickly that Cole looked over. The cashier gave me the patient smile of someone who had already decided I was lying to myself. Outside, Cole handed me one of the grocery bags. What happened in there? Apparently we are dating. That explains why she wished us a nice weekend. You could look more concerned. Should I be? People keep making assumptions. Cole opened the trunk. People make assumptions about everything. That is annoyingly reasonable. You have mentioned that before. Unfortunately, the cashier was only the beginning. A neighbor asked how long we had been together. A barista called us a cute couple after Cole ordered my coffee before I reached the counter. Even a delivery driver handed Cole our dinner and told us to enjoy date night. I corrected everyone. Cole usually smiled and let me do it. Then, about 5 weeks after I moved in, he came home holding an envelope. I need a favor Saturday. How expensive? My company has a charity dinner downtown. Everyone on the management team is expected to attend with a guest. I waited. Cole looked almost uncomfortable. Would you come with me? As your guest. That is generally how invitations work. And when everyone assumes I am your boyfriend, you can correct them. You could correct them too. Cole held my gaze for a second longer than necessary. I could. Saturday evening, I came downstairs wearing a navy jacket Jake had loaned me. Cole waited near the front door in a charcoal suit. He looked up and stopped moving. What? I asked. Nothing. That was definitely something. You look good. The words were simple. The way he said them was not. You look pretty good yourself. The dinner filled a downtown hotel ballroom with warm chandeliers, polished tables, soft music, and people who somehow managed to discuss quarterly numbers while eating appetizers smaller than my thumb. Cole and I survived by quietly making each other laugh. Then a woman from his office approached us. So this is the mysterious boyfriend. I opened my mouth to correct her just as someone passing behind my chair accidentally bumped it. I shifted sideways, and Cole immediately placed a steadying hand near my waist. You okay? Yes. The woman smiled. You two are adorable. Normally, I would have corrected her. This time I forgot. The conversation continued around us, but Cole's hand remained there after I had regained my balance. I looked down at it, then back at him. His expression changed the moment he realized I had noticed. Cole, I said quietly. He immediately moved his hand away. Sorry. The absence of it surprised me more than the touch had. I did not ask you to move it. Cole went still. The ballroom seemed strangely distant despite the conversations surrounding us. He leaned slightly closer, careful not to touch me again. Then what are you asking me, Ethan? Every sarcastic answer I normally used when nervous disappeared. I looked into his gray eyes and realized something that should have frightened me more than it did. The problem was no longer that strangers kept mistaking us for a couple. The problem was that somewhere between morning coffee, grocery arguments, movie nights, borrowed hoodies, and waiting for Cole to come home, I had stopped being certain they were mistaken. The question followed me all the way home, sitting between Cole and me in the car like a third passenger neither of us wanted to acknowledge. He drove with both hands on the steering wheel while the downtown lights disappeared behind us, and I spent the entire 12-minute ride replaying the moment in the ballroom. His hand near my waist. The way he had looked at me. The fact that I had told him I did not want him to move it. When we reached the house, I went upstairs, changed into sweatpants, and spent 9 minutes pretending I could sleep before giving up. Cole was in the kitchen when I came back downstairs, his tie removed, and his sleeves rolled up. Can I ask you something? I said. You usually do. Why do you never bring anyone home? He paused with a glass of water halfway to his mouth. That is what you came downstairs to ask. It is one of several questions currently ruining my evening. Cole set the glass down. I have dated people. Women. Something shifted in his expression. Sometimes. I stared at him. Sometimes. That is what I said. You answer questions like you have an attorney hiding behind the refrigerator. A quiet laugh escaped him, but my nerves were stronger than my sense of humor. You know I am gay, right? I asked. Yes. And that has never bothered you? No. His answer came without hesitation. You live here, Ethan. I want you to feel comfortable being yourself. I looked toward the counter. Somehow, kindness made this conversation harder. Then what happened tonight? Cole said nothing. Everyone keeps assuming we are together. I keep correcting them. You barely do. Tonight your hand stayed there after I was already fine, and when you moved it, I wished you had not. His expression became completely still. Ethan, do not say my name like you already know what I am asking. I think I do. He stepped closer, slowly enough that I could have moved away. I did not. Then answer me. Cole held my gaze. I do not think of you as just Jake's roommate. My heartbeat seemed suddenly too loud for the quiet kitchen. That is still not an answer. No, he said softly. It is not. He moved another step closer. For one suspended moment, the distance between us felt almost non-existent. I leaned toward him without consciously deciding to. Cole did the same, then stopped. His expression changed from warmth to restraint. We should not do this. Embarrassment hit immediately. I stepped back. Right? Understood. No, you do not. You do not have to explain. I do. Cole took a breath. You are living in my house because you needed somewhere safe and stable while your apartment is repaired. I do not want you wondering whether saying no to me changes that. I looked at him. You think I would feel obligated? I think you deserve to make this decision without wondering what it costs you. The answer was so completely cold that I almost hated him for it. What if I am choosing this? His eyes met mine. Then I need to know you are choosing me, not the convenience of this house, not the shorter commute, and not the fact that we happen to become comfortable together. Those things are not why I am standing here. Something vulnerable crossed his face, but he still stepped back. Maybe not, but I want you to have enough space to know that. I wanted to argue. Instead, pride got there first. Fine. I went upstairs and closed my door. The next morning, Cole had already left for work. My favorite mug waited beside the coffee maker, and next to it sat a paper bag from the bakery near my office with the blueberry muffin I always ordered on Fridays. I stared at it for a long time. If Cole did not want me, he had an incredibly confusing way of showing it. And if he did want me, I was beginning to understand that wanting me might be exactly why he refused to make the choice for me. I decided the most logical way to prove I was choosing Cole for the right reasons was to go on a date with somebody else, which should have been my first clue that the plan was terrible. His name was Ryan Parker, a graphic designer a coworker introduced me to, and under normal circumstances I would have liked him immediately. Ryan was funny, thoughtful, easy to talk to, and refreshingly direct about wanting to see me. When he invited me to dinner Saturday night, I said yes. Cole was preparing dinner when I came downstairs wearing my good jacket. He glanced up from the cutting board. Going somewhere. Dinner. With Jake. A date. Cole paused for barely a second. Okay. I waited for something else. Nothing came. His name is Ryan. I hope you have a good time. That was it. No jealous question. No suspicious expression. No dramatic reaction. I left irritated that Cole had responded like the most emotionally responsible person in America. Ryan chose a small Italian restaurant downtown. The food was excellent. The conversation flowed easily, and Ryan did absolutely nothing wrong. The problem was me. When he asked how I took my coffee, I pictured the mug Cole set out every morning. When Ryan mentioned grocery shopping, I remembered Cole organizing his list by aisle and confiscating my extra cookies. When the server offered dessert, I wondered whether Cole had eaten dinner alone. By the time Ryan walked me to my car, I had spent an entire date thinking about another man. I returned to Cole's house shortly after 10. The kitchen light was still on. Inside the refrigerator, a covered plate waited with a note on top. Pasta. 2 minutes in the microwave. Cole was reading in the living room. How was dinner? He asked. Good. Good. I stood there longer than necessary. That is all. Cole lowered his book. What would you like me to say? I do not know. Did he treat you well? Yes. Then I am glad. Somehow that hurt more than jealousy would have. I saw Ryan twice more during the next 10 days, partly because I liked him and partly because I kept expecting my feelings to become simpler. They did not. Meanwhile, Cole quietly changed our routine. He started grocery shopping before I woke up. Movie nights disappeared. He stopped waiting for me before dinner. My coffee still appeared every morning, but Cole was usually gone before I reached the kitchen. One Thursday evening, I found him working at the dining table. "Are you avoiding me?" Cole closed his laptop. "I am giving you space." "I never asked for space. You are dating someone. Ryan is not my boyfriend." "Maybe he will be." I stared at him. "Do you want him to be?" Something flickered across Cole's face before he controlled it. "What I want should not decide who you date." I looked around the room. My yellow umbrella still stood beside his black one. My cereal remained in the cabinet. His navy hoodie still hung over the back of my chair. Nothing important had physically changed, yet the house felt emptier because Cole had carefully removed himself from the spaces we used to share. "You really meant what you said?" I whispered. "About what?" "Giving me a choice." Cole held my gaze. "Yes." That was when I finally understood what my experiment had actually proven. 3 dates with a perfectly good man had not made me forget Cole. They had removed every excuse I had left. I did not miss the shorter commute. I did not miss the guest room. I did not even miss the house. I missed the man sitting 6 feet away from me, trying so hard to give me freedom that he had no idea I had already started choosing him. I ended things with Ryan the next afternoon, and somehow he understood the reason before I managed to explain it. We were sitting outside a coffee shop near my office when I told him he had done nothing wrong, but continuing to date him would be unfair because my attention was somewhere else. Ryan studied me for a moment. "It is the guy you live with, right?" I nearly spilled my coffee. "Why does everyone know things about my life before I do?" "You mentioned him 7 times during our last dinner." 7. I counted after the 4th. I apologized, but Ryan only smiled and wished me luck. By the time I reached Cole's house that evening, I had finally decided what I wanted to tell him. Then I saw Jake's car in the driveway. I entered quietly and heard their voices from the kitchen. "You cannot keep pretending you do not care," Jake said. I stopped near the hallway. "This is not your business," Cole replied. "It became my business when I tried to help you. You created a ridiculous arrangement. Because you liked Ethan before he ever moved in. Every thought in my head disappeared." Jake continued before I could move. "You noticed him every time you visited our apartment. You remembered his coffee, his schedule, even that ridiculous yellow umbrella. The umbrella is impossible to miss. That is not the point. You wanted a reason to spend time with him." Cole's voice became firmer. "And I told you from the beginning that Ethan was not something you could bargain with. I only agreed to let him stay if he chose it himself." "I know. That is why I offered you 3 months of housework instead." Suddenly the prepared room, the charger, and the hazelnut creamer rearranged themselves in my memory. I stepped into the kitchen. Both brothers went silent. "How long?" I asked. Jake looked toward the door. "I should probably leave." Excellent instinct. He grabbed his jacket and disappeared. Cole remained beside the kitchen island. "Ethan, how long have you liked me?" He did not pretend to misunderstand. "Before you moved in." And Jake knew. He guessed. I laughed once, but there was nothing funny about it. "So when I showed up here wondering why the room was ready, you already knew exactly why." "I knew I wanted you here," Cole said. "I also knew it had to be your decision." "Then why did you not tell me the rest?" He had no immediate answer. "The coffee creamer," I continued. "The charger. Everything you remembered. I thought I was slowly discovering that you cared about me." "You were. But you already had feelings for me." "Yes." His honesty made my chest tighten. "You should have told me. I was afraid that if I did, you would question whether staying here came with expectations. So instead you decided what information I needed to make my own choice." Cole lowered his gaze. "Yes. That was not your decision to make." "You are right. I had expected an argument." His agreement somehow made everything harder. I looked around the kitchen where we had shared coffee, jokes, groceries, and ordinary mornings that had become important without my permission. None of those moments were fake. I knew that. But now they carried a truth I had never been allowed to see. "I need some space," I said. Cole looked up. "The apartment repairs are still delayed. They found more water damage behind the kitchen wall. I will stay with Marcus from work. You do not have to leave." "I know." I swallowed. "That is why I need to choose to." Cole did not block the doorway or ask me to reconsider. Upstairs, I packed one suitcase. When I came back down, He was waiting near the front door, holding my yellow umbrella. "Rain is supposed to start tonight," he said. I took it from him, our fingers almost touching. "Thank you." Cole opened the door. "I am sorry, Ethan." I wanted him to ask me to stay, but he did not, because even now he was trying to respect my choice. I stepped into the cool evening carrying the umbrella he had remembered long before I knew he was paying attention, wondering whether the hardest truth was not that Cole had wanted me from the beginning, but that part of me still wanted him after learning it. The first morning away from Cole's house, I woke up reaching toward a nightstand that did not have coffee waiting beside it. Marcus had given me the pull-out couch in his apartment, which was generous considering he and his girlfriend were surrounded by moving boxes while preparing to relocate across town. He offered me coffee before work, but his dark roast tasted like someone had filtered disappointment through burnt wood. I thanked him anyway. For the next 10 days, I built a routine that looked completely normal from the outside. I went to work, answered emails, ate lunch with coworkers, and returned to Marcus's apartment every evening. Then ordinary things started betraying me. A grocery cart containing 3 packages of cookies reminded me of Cole silently surrendering at checkout. A navy hoodie in a store window reminded me of falling asleep on his couch. Someone brought blueberry muffins to a morning meeting, and I stared at mine long enough for a coworker to ask whether something was wrong with it. Cole did not call. He did not appear at my office. He did not send messages asking me to come back. At first, I told myself that proved leaving had been necessary. Eventually, I understood something more difficult. Cole was doing exactly what he had promised to do. He was respecting my choice, even when that meant staying away. On the 10th evening, Jake was waiting outside my office with 2 coffees. "Peace offering," he said. I accepted one. "Coffee is innocent. You are still under review." "Fair." We walked toward my car. Jake kept his hands in his jacket pockets. "I owe you an apology." "That is an excellent opening. I thought I was helping Cole, and I thought I was helping you. Instead, I turned your housing problem into a matchmaking scheme without telling you." I looked at him. "That is surprisingly accurate. Cole never needed a housekeeper. I offered him 3 months of housework because I knew he liked you and because you needed somewhere to stay. He told me repeatedly that you had to choose for yourself. He still kept the truth from me." "Yes," Jake said. "He did." His agreement took some of the anger out of me. "How is he?" Jake smiled slightly. "You lasted almost 3 minutes. Forget I asked. He goes to work. He comes home. The house is spotless. It is depressing." I looked down at my coffee. "Did he say anything about me?" "Not much. I asked why your room was still exactly the same." My chest tightened. "What did he say?" Jake's expression softened. He said it was not his room to change yet. 2 days later, Cole finally sent me a message. "The repairs should be finished Friday. Your boxes are safe here whenever you want them." Nothing else. No request. No hidden pressure. Friday arrived almost exactly 3 months after I had first moved into his house. The contractors had finished replacing the water-damaged sections behind our apartment kitchen wall, and Jake and I were finally allowed to move back in. The ceiling was dry. The walls had fresh paint. Everything was fixed. Somehow, nothing felt right. My commute was 45 minutes again. Jake left a cereal bowl beside the sink before 8 in the morning. My old bedroom seemed smaller than I remembered. That evening, while unpacking the last suitcase, I found Cole's navy hoodie folded beneath my shirts. I sat on the edge of my bed holding it and finally understood what the separation had given me. I had spent days questioning whether our beginning had been honest, but the beginning was not what I missed. I missed everything we had chosen afterward. The coffee, the grocery arguments, the terrible jokes, the quiet movie nights, the sound of his key turning in the front door. My phone buzzed with a message from Jake in the next room. 3 months are officially over. I looked at the hoodie in my hands. There was no damaged apartment keeping me at Cole's house anymore. No arrangement. No convenient excuse. No reason to go back unless I wanted him. For the first time since this started, circumstance had stepped completely aside, and the choice belonged only to me. I drove to Cole's house wearing his navy hoodie and carrying nothing else, because bringing a suitcase would have made a promise before I had actually said what I came to say. The porch light was on when I pulled into the driveway. For almost 3 months, that light had meant I was nearly home. Tonight, I sat behind the steering wheel for a full minute before walking to the front door. I still had the key Cole had given me, but I did not use it. I knocked. Cole opened the door wearing a gray sweatshirt, and for once, The calmest man I knew looked completely surprised. His eyes moved briefly to the hoodie before returning to my face. Ethan, you always say my name like I am about to create a problem. Experience has taught me caution. I smiled despite myself. Can I come in? Cole stepped aside immediately. Of course. I entered, and the familiar house felt different now that I had no practical reason to be there. My shoes were missing from beside his. My yellow umbrella was back at the apartment. The empty spaces made my chest ache. Cole stayed near the doorway. Did you come for your boxes? No, okay. The apartment is fixed. Jake told me. And the 3 months are over. They are. I took a breath. So there is no arrangement anymore. No damaged kitchen. No shorter commute I need. No reason for me to be standing here except one. Cole became very still. What reason? You. He did not speak. I stepped closer. I was angry because you knew something that I did not. You wanted to protect my choices, but you still made one choice for me by deciding what I should know. I know. I needed to leave because I had to figure out whether I missed this house or whether I missed you. Cole's expression softened. And Marcus makes terrible coffee. Cole laughed quietly. That answers everything. I missed you. The humor disappeared from his face. I missed you too. I reached for his hand. Jake could never trade me to anyone. I was never his to give away, and I am not yours to keep. I know that. But I can choose you. Cole looked down at our hands, then back at me. Are you sure? I spent almost 2 weeks on a pull-out couch, moved back into my repaired apartment, returned to my 45-minute commute, and still drove here voluntarily. I am running out of ways to demonstrate certainty. His smile returned. There is one more. What? Cole took a careful breath. Would you have dinner with me tomorrow night? A real date. A real date. No deals. None. No deadlines. None. No Jake arranging anything? Absolutely no Jake. I laughed. Then yes. Cole's fingers closed gently around mine. Months later, my yellow umbrella stood beside his black one again. My cereal occupied half a kitchen shelf, and the guest room had become our shared home office because I was no longer a guest. One Saturday morning, someone knocked on the front door. Jake stood outside carrying an enormous laundry bag. I have decided to honor my original agreement, he announced. Cole appeared behind me holding 2 mugs of coffee. You still owe me 3 months of housework, he reminded him. Jake lifted the bag. Exactly. I thought laundry would be a strong opening. I looked at the bag. That is your laundry. I was hoping the details were negotiable. Goodbye, Jake. I closed the door while he protested from the porch. Cole handed me my coffee exactly the way I liked it. I looked at him, then at the home we had built from the strangest beginning imaginable. An absurd arrangement had brought me through his door, but it was never the reason I came back. There was no bargain now, no expiration date, and nobody deciding where I belonged. There was only Cole, still asking instead of assuming, and me, finally able to give him the answer because it was entirely mine. Yes,